What happened to the Israeli people is 100% bad, and there's no caveats. And what's happening to the Palestinian people is 100% bad, and there's no caveats.
Yeah, you don't have to say yes, but on all of this. And sometimes there's a little bit too much of that. This meeting to me is very interesting today between the vice president, who, again, I said this earlier in the show, it seems like a little bit of a higher profile for what it's worth. I'm not sure, from Vice President Harris this week. She spoke out forcefully over the weekend for a ceasefire. Meeting with Benny Gantz, who's a rival, as you know, of Benjamin Netanyahu today at the White House. So I want to play a clip of the vice president from earlier today and before that meeting talking about the possibility of a hostage deal. Then we can come back and talk about the meeting. Here's Vice President Harris.
We're in a window of time right now where we can actually get a hostage deal done. We all want this conflict to end as soon as possible, and how it does matters.
So is there a window of time, and can she be a part of that? Is today's meeting important with Benny Gantz, do you think?
Well, it certainly seems that way, and her comments over the weekend are the most forceful comments to date by any administration official, and I don't think that that's, off chance. I don't think that that's just something that happened. It was definitely a plan, and I think that there's been so much pressure building up on the administration across the board in the United States, among their party, and internationally, among the Western nations, I think, that because it's just gone too long with too many words but not enough action. And I think finally the president has reached a point to where saying, okay, forget about the words. It's time to do something sick, and he's serious about it. We'll see what follows here.
So do you talk to Netanyahu's rival about that? I'll put the headline up that Netanyahu is said to be fuming over Benny Gantz's trip here to the U.S. without his approval. You see it there from the Times of Israel. The military strategy that you're certainly an expert on from Netanyahu has been just eliminate Hamas completely. Is that realistic? B, can the U.S. maybe push the Israelis for real now to change course a little bit?
Yeah, on the first point there, I do think it's a bit eye-brow opening that even the White House admitted they did not coordinate this with Netanyahu. Yeah. And I don't know why you would want to do that. If you're going to be firm, talk to him first behind the scenes and then come out, because this just sets up all kinds of additional problems. Second part, on the military part, no way. I've been saying from the outset that Netanyahu is pursuing a political outcome with military means that cannot succeed.
Why? Because Hamas is an idea? I've heard people say that rather than...
Certainly that's a big portion of it, but it's much more practical than that. When you go and you kill so many thousands of innocent people, every one of the surviving family members about them are going to seek revenge. That's just how it works. So no matter what you call them, Hamas, an idea, something else, when that many people are getting killed, you're building up future insecurity for Israel, not making it safer.
I guess that was sort of the point I was trying to make, is that because it's an idea or an ideology, once you do this type of thing, you're creating more enemies for the future. I think the U.S., if any country, should be familiar with that. Right. We should know about that, right?
Indeed. I lived it, what I saw in both Iraq and Afghanistan, and so I watched us make these mistakes. And so it's been anguishing me to see so many avoidable mistakes made with such enthusiasm on the Israeli part. And I fear where this is going.
Is there an off-ramp for Netanyahu to take? A political off-ramp that would also accomplish some military goals that you could call a victory? If so, what is it?
There is. If we, with our aid, held Israel to the same standard that we hold our own military to, and how we go against, terrorists in the civilian population, then it would take longer, but it could be done. But as it is, it doesn't look like Netanyahu has any interest in doing that.
Speaking of the aid, these airdrops, have you seen that? The U.S. Airdrops that they started, the criticism from a number of groups has been, this just is not enough. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally enough for a few people. I mean, you're talking about 2.1 million people are in desperate need, as you saw when they swarmed those trucks last weekend when they had the big problem with the people being killed. That shows you how desperate they are. 38,000 meals is a drop in the bucket and not near enough.